So there's two fundamental problems at the moment. Fundamental problem is the Conservative Party is going to have to deal with the issue that it's now had two leadership contests where the ordinary membership of the Conservative Party has elected a person that the parliamentary party doesn't really want. And this time it is such a disaster, I think it's going to prove to be almost impossible for Liz Truss to progress. I think she simply cannot work with the parliamentary party. She's got all her plans. Of course, she's from that edge of the party which you might call the loony right. She's from that part of the party which thinks Brexit is an opportunity to try something really daring, rather than from the other side of the party, which may have accepted Brexit, but thinks that Brexit is a chance to go back to the past. That was fairly safe. And Boris, people are not only looking with nostalgia to the past, to the 1970s, they're also looking now with nostalgia to Boris. And in fact, the conversations that I've heard are all about whether or not it's possible to replace Liz Truss. People are actually talking about this. People are actually saying, can we replace Truss? They've only had her for a week or so. Can we replace her? And they're using expressions like taking soundings, which is what they used to say when the men in suits would arrive at number 10 and say, we're taking soundings. We think that your time is up, Prime Minister. And could the Conservative Party, as it stands now, ditch the leadership campaign and acclaim a new Prime Minister? I'm suggesting that if they could find the formula for doing it, then maybe it would be possible, but they would have to do a deal with Labour. So that would be a government of national unity. And at a time of an international crisis, I think that would be a really positive development. When we look at what Liz Truss has managed, she's managed a U-turn, possibly the beginning of the complete fragmentation of her authority. The benefit cuts are up for grabs, as we saw from Penny Mordaunt. Fracking, I'm sure, is just a small punch, and that's going to be gone. And Liz Truss has got this entire... She likes to look at Kwasi Kwarteng and talk about his package, but she does have this package, and it's all dependent on this brilliant vision of the future, which is completely at odds with the majority in the parliamentary party. So if you go back, you can go back to the omnishambles election budget of 2012. You can go back to the major elections, which he won by the skin of his teeth. In fact, he won rather well. And everybody was saying that he wasn't going to do it because his leadership was such a mess. And yet he managed to bring together the party and to manage at least one decent election. But listen to Kwasi Kwarteng in his second-rate, limp, useless speech yesterday. That's supposed to be an opportunity to show what you've got in store. That's an opportunity for Kwasi to put forward his package, to show us the goods. But no, he talks about a little turbulence and he gets a laugh. That is the signal. And that tells us exactly what is happening. He gets a laugh, and it's not a laugh that is indulgent, it's a laugh that is mocking. And then does he get a standing ovation? No. The people at the front stood up and everybody out of the camera angle remained seated. This is a disaster. Now, can Liz Truss weather the storm? I'm sure she's trying to. I'm sure she's defiant because she doesn't listen to anybody else. I think it's time for the men in dark suits to come to number 10 and tell her they've been taking soundings. But for that, they also need to have a replacement. I've got a few suggestions.